Excel has some powerful filtering options. The simple filter can just be done by clicking on Data, the filter option. You can turn it on or off. When you turn it on, you get drop-down buttons on each label or header at the top of the column. It works nice for simple situations. Say you only want people from Boston, and you get just a filter for Boston. However, if you have total calculations at the bottom of your database, it will still total all the hidden rows between 2 and 19. If you don't want that to happen, you do need an advanced filter. So an advanced filter works with a replica of the headers or labels. They have to be exactly the same. And then you put in the second row whatever your condition is, let's say Boston. And why is that advanced filter so powerful? Because you can calculate totals with a function that is called dsum or d-average. It always starts with a d. So you can find them under all functions, but especially under the database functions. And you see they are all there. D-average, d-count, etc. D-product. So I'm going to use dsum. Dsum says, where is your database? You click at the beginning of your database, Control-Shift arrow down, Control-Shift arrow to the right. Which field do you want to sum? You just click on the label. Let's say salary. And what are your criteria? Your filter. And the filter is 2 rows high. The second one for the criteria, the first one for the labels and headers. And you will see that the total for the Bostonians is 269,500 instead of 75, etc. So if you really want to see the database filtered and you don't have simple filters on, let me turn them off for a moment, then what do? You have to go not to the filter button but to advanced filter. If you had clicked inside the database already, it will automatically select the whole things. What is your criteria range? That part, of course. And you click on OK, and it filters this time just the Bostonians. A few rules for those advanced filters. These are all copies or replicas of the headers. This is the simplest filter I could think of. It says the age has to be greater than 50. If you want an AND condition, greater than 50 for age and greater than 150 for the systolic blood pressure, you put them on the same row. AND conditions are on the same row. OR conditions are on separate rows. Age over 50 or under 30. It cannot be AND, of course. No one is under 30 and over 50 at the same time. If you want to do that for age and you want and greater than 30 and less than 50, then you have to repeat that header age again. Those are the simple rules. Let's work with all these things. Say you want an advanced filter, in this case, to find people that went up by 5 units before and after. Another advantage of advanced filters is that you can put calculations in your filter. This would be the simple filter, before, after. But now I'm going to add a new name. I call it up greater than 5. And I put in there a formula equals the difference between after D5. But make sure that you lock D by using the F4 key once, twice, 3 times. D is locked with a string sign or a dollar sign if you want to call it that way. Minus C5, lock the C again. All you have to know is that when you do these things, you are always talking to the first record in your database. And when you enter it, it will say that is false. Why? Because it looks at the first record, and that is not going up by more than 5. But when you apply this filter to your database, click inside the database, Advanced, your criteria range is B1 through D2, and when you click on OK, it will filter only the situations where the after reading went up by more than 5. Something similar here. We want to sometimes make certain records invisible when they are empty. Let's say this one is empty for weight and that one is empty for weight. So I could make an advanced filter here, because advanced filters accept formulas. But you can also put that filter on another sheet. That is sometimes an advantage. So I put all the headers here and I say skip the ones that have no weight values. And we have to talk to the previous database. If that cell E2 lock the E is not empty, then we want to use that. Inside the filter, start an advanced filter. Make sure that you go back to your first database. Criteria range is right there, and copy it to equal. And now I don't get empty weight situations. I do something similar for skip no weight and no systolic blood pressure. So I want to eliminate this record, that record, in total 4 records. Remember, you start in your filter, make a formula, equals. At the same time, we have 2 conditions, so I need the AND function. And at the same time, this cell, E2, lock the E, is not empty, comma, and that guy, lock the F but not the 2, is not empty. Close your AND function. So we are going to filter advanced in the database A1 for F14. Criteria range is here. Copy the records to A4 and filter. And notice that there is no empty spaces in these cells. A fancier calculation. We want to check whether there are duplicate social security numbers in this list. You can do that manually, but when the list gets huge, that is not so easy. So we are going to use a COUNTIF function. And if the COUNTIF is greater than 1, then we want to see you. Equals COUNTIF in the range D2, Control Shift arrow down for D19, absolute, lock it, comma, we are always talking to the first record, if that is identical to D2, and if that COUNTIF is greater than 1, I need to see you. Let's filter. Click inside the database, advanced filter, we have already the database done. All we need now is the criteria range, and we filter. And these are duplicate records for the social security numbers. Here we have a situation where the same Avery, how do we know it's the same guy or girl? Because it's the same social security number, paid all these premiums. How much did he or she pay in total? So here we did a SUMIF function. The SUMIF function says, in the range A2 through A19, check for A2 in this row, and sum then, if that is the same, that social security number, sum D2 through D19. We want to see Avery only once, so we want to see the social security number only once and see the grand total. So we put a count in a cumulative range, equals COUNTIF, open parentheses, A2 how do we make it cumulative? Colon A2, comma, if that happens to be A2, then we want to check if that is 1, we want you, and not when it's 2. But how do we make that a cumulative range? We lock the first A2 absolute, so it will be in the first record A2 through A2, A2 through A3, A2 through A4. And if that happens to be the same as A2, then we want you. So let's filter, advanced filter, this range, and OK it. And we will get Avery ones, Buca ones, Donaldson, etc. You probably want to know much more about formulas, about filtering, and so many issues in Excel that you have been wondering about. I developed for you several tools. Excel 2007 Expert is for the general user. And then Excel 2007 for scientists, Excel 2013 for scientists I made for more scientific issues. Or if you prefer a book instead, I wrote 2 different books on that issue. Where can you find those tools? On MrExcel.com, Amazon.com or GenesisPC.com. In Amazon.com you probably have to type my name, Gerard Verschuren, and you will find all these tools that will help you enormously.